In today's video, we are going to be talking about how long to spend in the wonderful Uyuni. Uyuni is a place that has so much to offer, but generally people I speak to, they don't really know how long to spend there. In my experience, the perfect trip duration in this area is between 3 to 5 days. For those of you who maybe don't know what Uyuni is yet and you're just in the early stages of planning your trip, basically it's an unmissable point whilst you're in Bolivia. It is the biggest salt plain you will ever see in your life. It literally takes your breath away. That's not only because of the altitude, but literally the views are amazing as well. It's one of the best things to do in South America whilst you're there. So the area itself is set 3,500 meters above sea level, which is quite literally the reason why it is so breathtaking, and is known to be one of the largest reflecting surfaces in the world. In terms of how to get there before you start your trip, so if you're coming from La Paz, you have two options. You can either take a flight or you can get an overnight bus down to Uyuni. Who doesn't love an overnight bus? This one wasn't too bad. It wasn't as bumpy as I had thought it was going to be. It took around 8 hours. We did it overnight, so you get there super early, between 5 or 6 in the morning. And then all of the jeeps tend to leave at around 10 o'clock. So you've got enough time, stock up on some coffee and go into the jeep on the same day if you want to. Another thing I would also recommend is once you get to Uyuni, bearing in mind it is super high up, so people who haven't had that experience and haven't felt what it's like to breathe air that doesn't have as much oxygen in it, it can take a little bit of getting used to. So another thing I would take into account is perhaps stay a night in Uyuni before you start the trip. It'll just make you a bit more comfortable, it'll give you a bit more time to rest up, and also you can go about and explore the town as well. There's two distinct times of the year, which are sort of the high season and low season. So the dry season is considered to be the high season. That runs from May through until November. And then the wet season, which would be considered off season, runs from January until around April time. There's pros and cons for both of these times of the year. If you're looking for more budget options and room to negotiate on the price of accommodation and also tours while you're there, then you may find a benefit in going in the off season. If you are expecting those lovely reflection shots that lots of people have in mind when they visit this area, bear in mind that May till November is the best time to get this. However, it works best right after it rains. A super important thing to mention in this video is how to choose the right tour whilst you're in Uyuni. It is a very tourism driven town, which means lots and lots of people are selling exactly the same thing, and they're all competing against each other to try and persuade you to come with them. And they have a few different ways of doing this. Things like saying they offer better food, they offer better accommodation, their drives are shorter. They'll pretty much say anything to try and make you believe that they are the people that you should do the trip with, okay? Some things that I would say to look out for is things like how many people they have in their Jeep whilst they're on the trip. 5 to 6 is normal. If you can find a trip that has 3 to 4 people booked in the Jeep, you'll find it a much more comfortable journey. Having 2 people less does make a big difference to the days, especially as there's quite a lot of drive time. And also number 2 is going to be your guide. Your guide is gonna pretty much make or break your trip for you. They do a lot, and there are some amazing local guides there. So it's really important for you to get the most out of your trip that you choose someone that is reliable, friendly, they're gonna look after you, they're responsible. And also, because you're in a non-English speaking country, as an English speaker, I did find it quite hard to get someone that spoke good enough English to explain to me. There are English speaking guides available, however you'll find that they are almost twice the price of a Spanish speaking guide. So we went with a very Spanish speaking guide, and he was absolutely amazing. We had such a good time. Some people just go for the salt flats themselves, which you can do in like a 1-day trip. But if you've got some time and you've got your camera ready, for sure do a longer trip. It was the best thing I ever did. The main thing that the 1-day trip is missing is that you don't get to enjoy the sunset whilst you're on the plains, just because of the time it takes to travel back again to your starting or to your finish point where you started from. The sunset for me was one of the best things that I got to see whilst I was in that area. The benefits of a 1-day tour is obviously if you're on a budget or you're on a bit of a time restriction, these trips can be arranged out of Uyuni and also even further up north from La Paz as well, and from the south end of the plains you can arrange a 1-day trip. However, the 3 to 4 day trip is much more popular. Basically everyone piles into one of the jeeps and you do a bit of a 4x4 tour around. Everything is included in these trips, so you get your food, accommodation. You'll have a 3-in-1 driver, guide and cook for you during the trip. So you'll have 5 to 6 people can fit in the jeeps. On day 1 is pretty much your salt flats day. However, you do get to do a couple of other cool things along the way. Your first stop is about 5 minutes after you leave the town of Uyuni. You'll get in your jeep, you'll be with your bunch of people that you're going to be with for the next couple of days. You'll leave the first town and you stop about 5 minutes into the journey in a really cool place called the train graveyard or train cemetery. Really cool old railways, got some cool trains there. As it is a group tour and it's a very popular style trip, lots of the jeeps do stop at this place, so be prepared to elbow your way through to get the best selfie opportunity or the best photo opportunity whilst you're there. Things do get quite busy. Further on day 1, you'll also do something which comes with booking any sort of organized group tour, is they love to force you to do a little bit of shopping as well. So you stop at this lovely little local village, they explain a little bit about how they harvest the salt and how they make an income, and then you're free to go on your way to the salt plains. On day 2 and day 3 of the longer trip, it's going to be the days that day 1 trip just misses out on. So this is why it's so great, and for me it was the highlight of my trip. It was also something that was a little bit unexpected, so coming out of it I was like, oh, I'm so glad I did the longer trip as well. Be prepared to be driving through the most amazing landscape that you will ever see. As you're driving through this area of complete flatness, there is 4,000, 5,000 meter high volcanoes just rising up. All of them are dormant, however a few of them still have a little bit of steam coming out. Being a volcanic area, there's also lots of super nice hot springs. You've got sulfur geysers everywhere that you can see as you're driving through. There's also some really cool wildlife as well. There's some flamingos, 3 different colors. You get white, pink and black flamingos. Alright, so I'm going to wrap up this video now, and that was my guide to Uyuni. I would recommend 3 to 5 nights there. I would recommend you spend a night in the town itself before you start on the trip, and bring your camera. It's going to be one of the most memorable trips that you'll do during your whole life, never mind just in South America. So if you like this video and you want to find some more information about Bolivia and other places in South America, you can subscribe to the channel, or you can head over to justbolivia.com, where we'll have lots and lots of useful information for you to help you plan your travels. Have an awesome time wherever you end up. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.